An incident occurs. Local response draws on local resources. When those local resources become exhausted and/or the event becomes exceedingly complex or lengthy, that local jurisdiction may require state and/or federal resources. The Texas Division of Emergency Management may pre-position relevant resources in anticipation of the local need, but those resources will not automatically be sent. So how does a local jurisdiction get stuff when they need stuff? Local jurisdictions must request resources from the state. That process is called a State of Texas Assistance Request. We call it a S.T.A.R. What does that request process look like, and how does it work? If the request is routed to the Operations Section Coordinator, then the next step is to identify the appropriate branch director, either Infrastructure, Human Services, Military Support, or Emergency Services. If it's the Emergency Services branch, that director identifies the responsible party and routes the request to the appropriate position, which would be the Texas. How about we save the resource request flowchart for later and instead track one example of a specific S.T.A.R. from initial entry into WebEOC to the action phase of fulfillment. Our example S.T.A.R. is for the Super Sack sandbags, and due to conditions on the ground, those Super Sack sandbags can only be placed by helicopter. We are not requesting 45-pound burlap or polypropylene sandbags. We are requesting 63 one-ton Super Sack sandbags. The first step is to go to WebEOC to fill out and submit the S.T.A.R. The request field is similar to the subject line in an email. The quantity is 63 individual items. For the purpose of this S.T.A.R. example, we will need this resource within 2 days. Sandbags are single-use items. We'll select Consumable Resource here. The description should define both the resource specifics and the problem the resource is expected to address. The justification or purpose of our request should answer the why the resource is needed question. Our request has been submitted in WebEOC and the S.T.A.R. process begins in the SOC. The first stop is either with daily operations or at SOC intake at the logistics table in the State Operations Center based on activation level. Once it is determined that the essential elements of information are complete and accurate, our S.T.A.R. is routed to the Operations Section Coordinator. The Operations Section Coordinator determines that this request is routed to the Infrastructure Branch Director. Infrastructure sends the S.T.A.R. to the Texas Department of Transportation. TxDOT will be the responsible party for our example sandbag S.T.A.R. However, TxDOT is not always the responsible party for every sandbag request. We are ready to move out of the request phase of a S.T.A.R. and into the action phase. Remember, we are requesting 1-ton Super Sack sandbags that can only be delivered by air. This indicates that TxDOT, as the responsible party, will be coordinating not only with their internal operations, but with supporting agencies. In addition to the sand, equipment, and transportation from TxDOT, this S.T.A.R. will require both labor to fill the sandbags and rotary wing resources from 2 other agencies. The actions for our S.T.A.R. are routing through different branches and sections of the SOC organizational structure. Multiple parties in the SOC play a role in the fulfillment of the action. Let's rewind and follow this same S.T.A.R. using the SOC seating chart as our guide. In this example, the SOC is at an increased level of readiness. First stop, SOC intake at the logistics table. Next stop, Operations Section Coordinator. Third stop, Infrastructure Branch Director who sends it to the responsible party, in this case, the Texas Department of Transportation. TxDOT then coordinates with the supporting agencies, as well as required reviewers and approvers. Once the delivery and placement of our sandbags has been confirmed, our State of Texas assistance request and its associated actions are considered filled.